In this lesson, we're going to be looking at what index notation is and how it works. Now, during this lesson, we're going to be using BODMAS 1 point, so let's just review that now. Remember, BODMAS stands for brackets, then powers of, which will be important for this lesson here, and then division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. It tells us the order that things must be worked out in. Remember, division and multiplication can be done in either order, just go left to right usually, and then addition is in the same order, sorry, in either order as well. So if we have a look at our example question here, out of all of the BODMAS, which one do we do first? We do the brackets first, so I would work that out, and then we do our answer going downwards, changing only one thing at a time. So this 5 times here, I'm not using that yet, so I just write it down. This 3 plus 7 in the brackets, that changes to 10 because that's what 3 plus 7 is, and the brackets don't go there anymore because I've just used them up, and so I just write 10 there instead. And this minus 4 I haven't used yet, so I write it down. And then 5 times 10 is 50, so I write that down. Remember, the times must go before the minus. I didn't use the minus yet, so I just write it down. So 50 minus 4 is 46, and so each time only change one thing at a time, and everything else you just write down on the next line. Now for index notation, when you have a number and you have another little number above it like this, it means multiply the base by itself index times. So let's look at it with numbers here. This is the base, the 6. The 5 is the index, and so it means multiply 6 by itself 5 times. And when we do that, for this lesson, it means writing it in expanded form, or expand it. We don't actually have to work it out unless it says evaluate or actually work it out. It may sometimes say expand but don't evaluate, and that's all it means. Just write it out like this to show how many 6s there are there. Now, of course, if we do need to evaluate something, then we always have to use BODMAS, and we just remember that powers of comes second because that's the O. And so if I was looking at this one here, there's no brackets, which means the next thing I'd do are these powers of. I'd work both of them out first before I did the addition, because the O's all the way up here and the A's down near the back. So let's have a look at some examples with this. We're going to write this expression here using powers. And so first of all, just write down the whole expression. Don't change anything, just write down the whole expression. And now, there's 2 4s there, and there's 3 5s. So I can write it down as saying, well, there's 4 to the power of 2, 5 to the power of 3. We don't write 7 to the power of 1, we just write 7. Anything that doesn't have a little number up here is automatically means there's only one of them, so that's fine. And notice I can put it right next door to it because I'm going straight to my answer. And the next one's the opposite. This time we're going to write 2 to the power of 4 times 3 to the power of 6 in expanded form. So start by writing down the original question, and next to it you can just write the answer. So there's going to be 4 2s and 3 6s all multiplied together. So write down the question equals the answer right next to it. And notice it says do not evaluate, so we don't bother trying to work out what 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 6 times 6 times 6 is. That'd be a very large number if we did. Now the next one says evaluate, which means I do actually have to work it all out, but I'm going to have to do it in the right order because there's pluses, there's powers of, there's brackets, there's a minus. Okay, so let's write out the question as it is without changing a thing. And now I have to work out what goes first. The B is brackets, that goes first. So this 9 minus 4, I have to work out what that is first. And so that's 5. So remember, I write down the 2 to the power of 3 plus. I'm not using that yet, so I just write it down. And 9 minus 4 is 5, and then the squared I haven't used yet, so that just becomes 5 squared. So the only thing that's changed is this 9 minus 4 in brackets has just become 5. And now I can work these out. Now it doesn't really matter what order you work them out in. I'm going to do this one first. That's 2 to the power of 3, so it's 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, then times another 2 is 8. So it's fine to work that out in your head. Change that one to 8. This one I haven't used yet. What's 5 times 5? Well, 5 times 5 is 25. That one was okay. And so I can just write that down. And now finally, what's 8 plus 25? It's equal to 33. Now, it is okay to go straight from this line to that one down there. In other words, it's okay to work out all the powers at once in one step. Just as long as you're only working out 2 to the power of 3 and 5 to the power of 2 at once, because you're doing the same thing really, aren't you? They're both the powers of step, so you can do them both at the same time. They don't affect each other. Let's give it a go with some practice questions. Remember to pause the video. And there's our solutions with those, with the working shown for this one, and of course just question equals the answer for those ones. So in the first one, we had to write this out using powers, and so I just wrote it down to start with and then counted. There's 1, 2, 3 threes and 2 nines, so that's why it's 3 to the power 3, 9 to the power 2. In the second one, it was the opposite. I had to go 5 to the power of 4 times 6. There's only one 6 there, so I wrote down, first of all, the question, of course, and then I wrote down 4 fives being multiplied, because it's 5 to the power of 4, and then just the times 6, because there was only one of them. And then with the last one, firstly I wrote the whole thing down, and then the brackets had to go first because of BODMAS, the B's first. And so I have to work out everything in the brackets before I can do anything else. So now the next question is, what inside these brackets do I have to work out first? Well, it's got to be the powers of. See, I've got a minus and a powers of, and so I did that first. I went 3 squared is 9, so I wrote that down. Everything else stayed the same. Now I can work out the 12 minus 9, because that's still in brackets. 12 minus 9 is 3, so I wrote that down, and the 4 squared just stayed the same. Now that I've dealt with all the brackets, what have I got left? I've got a powers of and a minus. So the powers of goes first. 4 to the power of 2 is equal to 16, and then I can do my my minus 3 here. So 16 minus 3 is equal to 13. So here's some extra practice questions if you need to have another go. Remember to pause the video. And there's our solutions to those ones with the working all shown for that one there. And that is the end of this lesson.